Thank you, Liesel. Thank you, Cor. Thank you, Anu. And again, for the platform, I'm extremely grateful. I'm excited about today. We're going to be doing, having some really meaty stuff. And so without any further ado, let me just share my screen and get into the presentation. I'm learning new skills. Look at me, I can land on the right page now. Any longer in lockdown, and I'm going to come out of this, well, like a completely new person. So yeah, again, thank you very much for the platform, and to Liesel, Cor, to Anu for holding us all together and being the glue that holds us together. Thank you very much. So let me get started straight away. I'm just going to click this here. I've increased my bandwidth, so my upload speed is now 46, which is great. I'm investing in myself here, and I don't know why. Oh, there we go. So we're back to the Power Up lockdown sessions. I'm investing in myself. I'm investing in my business because I know that I'm going to be here a long time. If you think you guys have it bad, we're going to be the last industry to get out of here. But that's okay. I'm going to make the best of it. Kerry from Port Elizabeth sent this to me a little bit earlier today. And so me and my colleagues getting ready for another day of Zoom meetings. And it's great. And it's kind of, I think it's exactly what it is right now. I can't see any of you. And maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. But I think there's one thing wrong with this picture, and it should look more like that. With some social distancing, so I cut them all up. But that's essentially what it looks like, another Zoom meeting, and whatever you're wearing right now, welcome. So I love Zapira, and you might have seen this one the other day, and it's, you know, the long walk to freedom, and essentially Nelson Mandela is saying that no matter how high you climb, you're always going to be more hills. So right now, you know, we celebrated Freedom Day on Monday, and a lot of people are like, kind of, it isn't Freedom Day, and I disagree. You know, hashtag Unfreedom Day, no, that's not a thing. The one thing that we always have freedom of is the freedom of our thoughts and the freedom in terms of what we choose to think. And nobody can take away that freedom from you. And that's the most vital thing right now, is to maintain that idea of I have freedom of thoughts, and how do I choose my thoughts wisely? How do my thoughts serve me? Because until I can look after myself, and remember we did the Leadership Resilience Masterclass, and one of the things I said there is making sure that whatever you're thinking, whatever your thoughts are, that they're serving you. Because until you can lead yourself, you can't lead the people around you. And many people are looking to you for leadership. So I'm no stranger to where you are right now. This is the second time brain cancer came back. It was the 5th of February, 2017. And it was a real blow for me. So I understand how you feel right now. I was celebrating the fact that I was in remission. I've been in remission for 6 months. It was like, yay, cancer warrior. I've beaten a very, very rare form of cancer and a very aggressive form of cancer. And to be back in that same place it was so much harder than before. And the feeling of, oh my goodness, what now? So I get how you're feeling. If anybody understands it, I think I do. That real feeling of being beaten and feeling powerless, that there's nothing you can do. Rest assured that, as Liesel said, there are a lot of bodies that are putting their best foot forward to make sure that your industry gets bumped up, and that you don't have to wait till level 2, because that would just be horrible. But I understand that you're feeling beaten and powerless. I understand it's an extremely, extremely emotional time, that you might even be starting to feel a bit desperate. I get that feeling as well. And it's a lot of that stuff that comes along with the brain cancer prognosis and the diagnosis going forward, and not knowing, and what is the future going to look like. So I get that, and we're going to deal with that a little bit today, because I think that's very important. Because it's bad and it's bleak out there, I figure we should do the non-breathing experiment. One or two of you might have done this with me before, and I'm going to give you another shot to get this thing right. So essentially what we're going to do, and in your house now, so you make yourself comfortable, we're just going to hold our breath for as long as we can until we gracefully slip into whatever comes next. So I'm going to ask you, because, you know, if I have to ask you, you're going to think about it, then you think too much, and then maybe you don't want to do it, but I think we should. I mean, what's the point anyway? So what we're going to do, I'm going to count to 3. There are 2 rules. Number 1 is don't hold in, because that's what we do when somebody says take a deep breath. We're like, take the biggest breath we possibly can, and it's going to take longer to die that way, so maybe don't. And then the second thing is, you know, don't get someone to help you, or don't help the person next to you, because, you know, that's also not cool. It's an experiment for you. So I can't see you. Just be honest with me now. You count into 3, ready, and go. Sorry, I'm looking at my reflection in the camera. I can't even. So I'm out of here already. And I'm pretty sure, so I know the outcome of this experiment. It's a terrible experiment. The only question we need to ask ourselves is, but did you die? And you didn't. If you did, just put your hand up. But you didn't die. And you didn't die for two amazing reasons. And the amazing reasons are, number one, your body is always going to win. Think about that. It's actually impossible to kill yourself by holding your breath. So don't ever try that. There's no point. Because at some point in time, what happens is that you black out. And when you black out, your brain is no longer in control. And at that moment in time, your body takes back control and says, I want to live. So it's impossible to kill yourself that way. So that's one reason you didn't die. And number two, you actually didn't want to enough. And as bad as things seem right now, as bad as the future looks right now, as bleak as things are right now, that's not what any of us want. So it's quite a cool experiment for a couple of reasons, and I'm going to try and go through them with you right now. So you essentially had three choices right now. And as much as you might have thought, where's Richard going with this? Just bear with me. You had three choices. Choice number one was, I choose to fail. So probably most of you sitting in your homes thinking, nobody's watching me. It's okay. I don't have to do this experiment. And you chose to fail. So you were like, well, this is stupid. I don't want to die. I don't want to hold my breath for that long. And because you chose to fail, what was the outcome? And the outcome is, pinch yourself, yes, you survived. So although you chose to fail, you still survived. And looking forward into the future, you can also choose to fail. And as much as we want to change things, as much as we want to move forward into the future, as much as we want to do things differently, as much as we want to hang in there, we've got some choices. And the first choice is we can choose to fail. And that's okay. The second choice is you hold your breath, and you held your breath until it became too hard. And at that point, it's like, I don't think I can anymore. And what's the point? And then you made a conscious decision to give up and fail. And the outcome was identical. So you chose to fail, you gave up, and you survived. Identical outcome to the first. And then some of you are A-type personalities, and a lot of estate agents are A-type personalities. And you might have decided that you were in it to win it. And even if you were in it to win it, you're going to fail. And the reason for that is because at some point in time, you're going to black out. So there's very little in this life that's going to kill you. And even if you get the virus, there's very little chance that it's going to kill you. We're seeing those stats drop. It's less than 1 in 10, or 1% less than 1 in 100 people. Very few people, if you're going to get, you're probably going to get better. So even then, what are your chances? There's very little in this life that is going to kill you. The most predominant cause of death in this world is old age and old age-related or age-related diseases. So you're okay. So what's important to understand here is that it doesn't matter what your choice is, the chances that you're going to survive this thing are massive. So you are going to see the other side of this. But you can either be in it to win it, in which case you're going to do absolutely everything you possibly can to make sure that you get through this crisis and that you thrive throughout the crisis. So you don't just survive it, but you thrive. Or you can choose to fail right now. And the conversation I had with you last week was really starting to act as if you're feeling a little bit desperate right now, and your actions reflect that. So we're going to talk today about what are the things that you should be doing that are going to set you up for a future, because you are in it to win it. Because I don't know that you can afford not to be right now. Like, I can't afford to suddenly try and do something else right now. I've had to pivot, I've had to adapt, I've had to be really, really agile, and I've had to come up with a way of earning money in exactly the same way that you are going to be. But I want to go back to that leadership resilience course, and I just want to hit on that first thing that we chatted about, and that was, am I skillfully managing my emotions? And right now, emotions are running high. And since the last time I spoke to you last week, you've had some news that is less than fabulous. So again, it's very hard to be unemotional. And remember, I showed you that curve, the change curve. And remember, I also said that sometimes you get to the point of acceptance and you're moving on into meaning, and you get straight back into the denial and the anger and the depression. And that's what happens with this whole cycle. And it's very difficult to manage our emotions. So it's extremely important. And I want to remind you that you are the CEO of you as a leader of self. As somebody being called upon to lead right now, you are the CEO and you're the Chief Energy Officer. And I know that right now your energy might not be feeling fabulous. I get that completely. And mine is also. It's going up and it's coming down. It's going up and it's coming down. And it's quite hard to manage. But I would urge you to try and manage that. I want you to know that there are people around you, like from Deventer, from Greyvensteins, myself, Trevor, there are a bunch of people around you that are there to support you and to make sure that you are going to be okay. So this is the list, or the team of people and specialists that I surrounded myself with over the last 4 years of my cancer journey. And that's a lot of people there. There are a lot of qualifications there. And I know immediately some of you are looking at that screen saying drug dealer. And what you will notice is that my drug dealer, I mean, this is amazing. Our constitution 2 years ago made cannabis oil legal. So my drug dealer is now my herbalist. How cool is that? And the funny thing is that as much as I need all of these people around me, and I still need them, I'm still going for checkups, I'm still needing to go for some treatments, and as much as I need these people around me, and we think that we need the buyers, the sellers, the landlords, the tenants, we need the conveyancing attorneys, we need the bond originators, we need the banks, we need all of those people, and actually we need them more than they need us. I want you to know that you are wrong. Without patience, without me, a bunch of those people wouldn't have anything. They wouldn't exist. And you're the same. And I want you to know that. So I had to throw this back in again. So the drug dealer became the herbalist. And I needed a reason to put this one back in. But anyway, so let's move on. So your value, what is your value right now? And I think you're sitting back and thinking, well, I don't have value. And the government's telling me that I don't have value because I'm a level 2. Like, what the hell? How am I not essential services? People need to move. People need to sell homes because they can't afford them anymore. And the reason they can't afford them is because they are not essential services and they don't have a job anymore, or whatever's happened. My job is to help other people. And how on earth can I be a level 2? And what I can tell you straight away is that the only reason you're a level 2 is because of the danger, and this is just me trying to think rationally, is the danger of people moving and the danger of people going into each other's homes. And unfortunately, that's what you do. As an estate agent, your job is to take people to go and view homes, and only after they've viewed the home do they make a decision. And government's saying, well, we think that that's quite dangerous, and we think that the risk is quite high. Also, is going to the shops, but anyway. So, right now, I want you to know that your value is higher than you think it is, because you're actually a bit of a superhero. You really, really are. You're competing against a bunch of other agents, but actually you're competing against yourself. And right now, you're competing in your own mind. And I want you to understand that whatever you're thinking about your value, you're probably wrong. Because if it wasn't for you, Liesel, Cor, and Arnu would not be doing conveyancing. If it was that easy for people to do without you, people would have been doing it without you for many years. Trust me on that one. I remember being in a real estate agent in 2003, and this company came in, and it was called Private Property. And we thought immediately at that point in time, we didn't even have a website. And here was this company that were offering 900 Rand for 900 South African bucks. They were doing what we were doing. They were offering to put the client's property on the website, we didn't have one, in the local Caxton publication, to put a for sale sign outside, unique listing, to even provide an offer to purchase. And all the seller had to do was just sit back and let these people come through their houses. And we were convinced at that point in time, back in 2003, that being a real estate agent was going to become obsolete. And look where Private Property is now. They're an amazing portal, but they've had to reinvent themselves because people don't want to sell homes online and buy homes online. And yes, we're moving into some of that, but it still hasn't really caught on. Some of the bigger companies have got fingers in some of the pies, but it still hasn't really caught on. We still know that 85 to 90% of all the residential resales that take place in South Africa happen through you. In other words, it's an essential service in terms of the industry, but there are a bunch of industries that rely on you. You're in the front line, you're in the trenches. And Cor and I had a discussion yesterday, and those were his exact words, is the agents are in the front line right now, and we need them. So from a conveyancing point of view, you're needed. From a bank point of view, you are needed. From a mortgage origination point of view, you are needed. Buyers, sellers, removal. There's so many industries that rely on you, and I need you to understand that right now, which is why I said last week, I don't want you to be giving away your commission. Because if ever you could fulfill a need, it would be now. So we're going to talk about a couple of solutions about viewing homes and how you can maybe move things along a little bit. But let's get going from here. So I know that you are sitting in and looking at the summit. You're looking at this mountain, and that is Mount Everest. You're looking at this mountain, the most treacherous and difficult mountain in the world to climb, not only just the highest. And you're thinking, how the hell am I going to survive? How on earth am I going to get to the top of this mountain? And I totally get that. So it's fear that grips us. It's fear of the unknown. It's the uncertainty. It's fear of, can I hold on that long? And as much as the deeds office is going to be opening and some of your deals are going to start registering, that's only going to like get you so far, and then you need the new ones. And I know that. And it's the fear of how on earth am I going to survive until then? And the more we get wrapped up in that, which is the unknown, which is the future, the less likely we are to be able to be in the present. And we've chatted about that a lot over the last couple of weeks, about how the present is all we actually have right now. So how do we overcome the fear, and how do we manage the fear? So there's a problem with all of this. And I think it's important for us to recognize this. Every single one of us have an affliction, a disease, if you will, and it's called the negativity bias. You see, we are inherently negative, and we are born negative, and our first response to anything is negativity, which is the reason why you're here today. If our first response to any kind of change wasn't negative, we wouldn't be here as a species, because that's the flight or fight response. So any negativity that happens, your body secretes cortisol. We've chatted about that before, and that puts you into flight or fight, which is why you are here. Your body, it's a protective mechanism. But it means that our automatic response to anything is negative. And then it costs us energy to pick ourselves up again from a positivity point of view. So you have to work at positivity, and it's quite hard to work at positivity a lot of the time. And over the last couple of weeks, I've been asked the question a lot is how do you remain so positive? And I've told you, I'm not always positive, but I think I err on the side of being far more positive than I am negative. And a lot of that time, it's a conscious decision, because I know and understand intimately how bad it is for me to be negative, and how those negative thoughts are incredibly bad for me. So when we recognize the fact that our negativity comes for free, we understand that we have a very big responsibility to try and manage that energy, and to try and pick ourselves up, and to figure out how to do that. So this is a reminder that I've said to you that your brain is the most sophisticated filtration system on the planet. That whatever you put in there, your brain then goes to work to filter out anything that doesn't agree with that, and filter in anything that does agree with that. So if you're feeling incredibly negative about where you are right now, and you're telling yourself, I don't know how I'm going to survive or whatever, your brain is going to go to work to find all the reasons to prove to you why you're not going to survive, and filter out all the reasons to prove to you that, actually this is rubbish. And you determine that thought for yourself. So although I don't negate any of the obstacles, I don't negate how hard this journey is for you, and not for a second am I trying to smooth it away and say I don't understand exactly how hard this is. But the more we give it headspace, and the more we go there, and it was the same for me with cancer, the more I went into the cancer, and that's what I have, and the treatment, and the more negative I allowed myself to get about the cancer, the less chance I had of beating the cancer. And I've also said to you that overcoming any major disease is 50% what you believe in your head, and 50% modern medicine. And the one half the doctors can do a lot about, and the other half the doctors can do nothing about. And they will all tell you this, that if they can control that side as well, the results would be way better than they currently are. So that part you've got control over, that part you might not have. So control what you can, and you need to control your thoughts right now. So that leads us to the second thing today, and what can I influence, and what do I need to let go of? So what I need you to do is to stop feeding your cancers. And you might say, Richard, I don't have cancer, and I really hope that you don't. But if you do, these cancers are worse than a physical cancer. They really are. And what are your cancers? Your cancers are negativity, fear, doubt, the past, expectation. What do you mean the past is the cancer? Well, if you're holding on to what life was before COVID, if you're hanging on to this idea of I just want to go back to normal, if only you could just go back to normal, then the past is a cancer right now, because it's preventing you from moving forward. These are big things. And just as the brain cancer grows faster than the healthy cells, so negativity in your brain grows faster than the positive cells do. So your job right now is to try and manage that negativity, manage those cancers, and figure out how to move forward. So I want to tell you a story right now. And I think it's a valid story, and I think it's going to help. So focus on the goal. What is your goal right now? Your goal is to set yourself up. So your conduct now, what you do right now, your activities right now. So what you do right now is going to set you up for the future. So that's me saying, if I can get through a full Ironman right now with stage 4 brain cancer, that sets me up for the future, because if I can do that, I can do anything. What are those things that you can do right now that are going to give you the best possible chance for moving forward in this market? So your conduct now is imperative. Remember I said to you, if you could look back on this time in 6 months' time, are you going to say, wow, I cracked that, I nailed it? Or you're going to judge yourself harshly and say, I could have been better. I could have done better. And I really hope you won't judge yourself harshly. And if you're thinking bad thoughts about that right now, you've got a chance to change that. So this is the finish line of Ironman 70.3 Durban. It happens in June every year. It's a half Ironman, which means it's a 1.9 kilometer swim. It's a 90 kilometer cycle, and it's a 21.1 kilometer run. So it's half of a full Ironman, exactly, and that's the 70.3. If you add all those distances together, 70.3. So in miles. So for me, the focus on the goal is really important. I entered this race on a whim, and the reason for that is I was interviewed on a live TV show and a breakfast show, and the presenter asked me, what was coming up. And I didn't want to admit that I hadn't entered anything and there was nothing. And I was like, blah, 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 blah. And I kind of thought very, very quickly, what's coming up? What do I think I can still do because I haven't been training at all? I was like, Durban. And I got off the set and I looked at my phone. I'm like, oh my goodness, I've got 6-7 weeks to do this thing and I've done nothing. So for me at that point in time, the goal was to finish this thing, because if I can finish it, again, I can believe that I can beat brain cancer. But I didn't want to even start the race. It was, I entered it, but it was like, oh my goodness, So you entered, you're in the race already. You're an estate agent. You've got an FFC, hopefully. There's sort of that stuff out. But you're in it, and you're thinking, okay, well, sure. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get to the finish line. And I felt the same. So an obstacle is what you see when you take your eyes off the goal. And the obstacles for you are big right now. The obstacles, I can't do real estate like I'm used to doing real estate. I can't get people to sign off purchases or offer to let. I can't transfer properties. I can't get the banks to come and value the property. I can't. All of these things. And the more we focus on what we can't do, the more we focus on these can'ts, the things that are trapping us in this place, the less likely we are to move forward. And I think that makes sense, right? So what are those things? If you have to identify the things that are the obstacles that are holding you back from where you want to go, what would those things be? And sometimes it's important to name and shame them, because when we make a list of all the things that are holding us back, it allows us to make another list next to them of how we think we can solve that. So are you a problem-oriented person, or are you a solutions-oriented person? And right now, you cannot afford to be a problem-oriented person. I'll say that again. You cannot afford to be a problem-oriented person right now. Your job is to look for the opportunity within what seems to be the obstacles. And those opportunities abound, I promise you. So this is the morning of the race. And there's Bailey. She's helping me put on my wetsuit. And the morning was amazing. It was a beautiful day in Durban. And that smile that you see there isn't really a smile. It's kind of I'm going to smile for the camera because I'm really, really nervous. And the reason I was nervous is because, and we've got this picture back in there again, I was filled with fear. And just like this person jumping off into the sea, this idea of getting into the sea, I was filled with fear. Because all I could see at that point in time at this race were obstacles. I'll tell you what my obstacles were. In October the previous year, the cancer had come back. And I was really battling with it. In February last year, so this race was in June. In February that year, I went into a trial drug through Israel, a chemotherapy drug, and that messed me 6 love. I took it for 3 months and eventually had to stop because the damage it was doing to my body was way worse than what the cancer was doing to my body. It was horrific. And then at that point in time, I felt I had some real issues with my lungs. We were worried that the cancer had spread to the lungs. I had a bronchoscopy done, and we found out that I had these big nodules on my lungs. And actually, it wasn't cancer, thank goodness, but it was toxicity, pulmonary toxicity from the chemotherapy. So the chemo was damaging my lungs to the point I was battling to breathe. So here I am. I've got cancer. The chemotherapy has really messed up my body to the point I've done absolutely no training in the year at all. I've got these lung issues, and then it got worse. I had a tiny hemorrhage in my brain, and I suffered 2 seizures, one and then another 2 weeks a little bit later, because the tumor had grown, and I had a tiny little blood capsule that had burst. So all of these things were obstacles. And then I hadn't trained. I literally did no training at all. And for the first time in all these years, I sat there on that beach and I thought, I actually don't know that I'm going to finish this race. So there was me on this beach feeling like you're feeling right now, all these obstacles around me, all the reasons why I can't. I can't this, I can't this, I can't this, I can't this. And thinking, but if I can just do this, I mean, what are my options right now? I'm on the beach, I've entered, I'm here right now. Do I decide not to do it? And, remember the 3 choices. If you want to move forward in your life, you can choose to fail. You're going to survive anyway. I'm going to survive. I'm going to be there, just not having done a race. I can choose to start the race and then quit when it gets too hard. There's that choice. And there's no harm in that. It's better than not starting, surely. Or I can decide that I'm in it to win it for me, and all that counts is that I finish. It doesn't matter how long it takes me. It doesn't matter what confronts me on the day. I just need to finish, because what that does for me will set me up for the next thing. And you getting through this and you thriving through this is what's going to set you up. It's your conduct right now. And the interesting thing, and I've told you this before, is the minute that gun goes off and the minute you race off the beach and get into the water, all those other thoughts, those fears and the obstacles disappear. They actually do. Because the only thing you're focusing on is what you need to do, and that's take one stroke and take another stroke and take another stroke. And despite the fact that I'd done 0 swimming at all, I actually felt quite good. And that's years and years and years of training, years and years and years of swim coaching, years and years and years of doing the same thing and the same motions and working hard on my swimming. And that's where you are right now. That's exactly where you are right now. Years and years and years for most of you. And even if it's 6 months, months and months and months of preparing yourself and real estate skills and soft skills and emotional intelligence and understanding how to get the best out of people and understanding how to serve your clients, because that's what they need from you. That's why they're not doing it online on their own. They need you. What is that? That's trust. But all this time and all this effort that you spent in preparation, the minute you start focusing on what that goal is, which is your conduct, it's what you can do right now. It's how you can set yourself apart from the competition by being more of you. Everything else, those obstacles seem to disappear. So I had an amazing swim and I enjoyed it. It was lovely being out in Durban and the water was amazing. And I was just, wow, it was such a privilege. It was like, wow, this is such a privilege. And I think for me in that point in time with cancer, it was like, am I ever going to get to do this again? And maybe this is the last time. And wow, what a privilege. And it doesn't matter how hard this feels, it's easier than the treatments. It's easier than having to face the cancer. I'm actually taking myself into a place which is amazing. And that's what happens when we focus on something that becomes a bit of a purpose. And real estate should be something that gives you meaning in your life. It should be, as we heard Mark Zuckerberg talking about, that purpose. What is that? And if real estate isn't that, leave, go and find something else. And then about 100 meters from the shore, I started to look behind me, because what's quite cool is if you can catch a bit of a wave in, then you get into the shore a little bit faster, save some energy, and you also want to make sure you don't get dumped. And I felt the water pulling me back, and you could see the water earlier. It wasn't very bumpy. It was quite flat. And out of nowhere, I felt this huge wave, and I breathed, looked back to breathe, and this huge wave was coming, and it was about to dump me. And my feelings at that point in time were, what? Jeez! And immediately I was like, okay, I know what to do here. And I pushed my arm forward, thrust forward, and I kicked as hard as I could to try and surf this wave. But it was too late. And the wave grabbed me by this arm and literally pulled my arm down, threw my body over. And literally I saw myself going up and looking down the sand down there, and it dumped me into the sand. My face was planted in the sand. My goggles smashed against my face and off my face. I lost my timing chip. My cap was gone. And I felt myself flailing around. It was almost like I was in the spin cycle of a washing machine. And then I heard this under the water and this excruciating pain. And I've never delivered a child, so I can't, but I'm pretty sure this pain was worse. Okay, just kidding. But it was really, really bad. And I was like, oh my goodness, what now? Now I'm all over the place and the water's tumbling me, and finally I managed to find my feet and stand. And I looked down at my hands. My arm should have been down here, and this arm was over here, and I looked down and I couldn't see my shoulder. So immediately it was, okay, was it dislocated shoulder? Is it broken? What's wrong? And this pain was just, wow. And as I'm trying to get myself onto the shore, these medics came up to come and help me, and they took me over to the medical vehicle on the beach. And the doctor came across to take a look, and immediately he says, "No, I'm pretty sure that's a dislocated shoulder." And then they came across because my blood, there was blood coming out of my nose and my lip, where I'd used my lip to break myself along the sand. That little piece of skin that's there, that was gone, and there was blood. They're coming to look at me, and now the doctor says, "No, he wants to take a better look, and he wants to take my wetsuit off." And I was like, no. I'm prepared to die in this wetsuit, knowing how tight they are and how excruciatingly painful this thing was. So we got the one arm off, and now he's trying to pull this arm, and I'm trying to, now I can't use the shoulder, so I can't move my arm at all. So I'm trying to use this hand to hold my arm back so you can pull this thing. And as he's doing this, the next minute, my shoulder pops back in. And I've had visions of, I'm sure you've seen those movies where the guy lies down and they grab the arm and they put a shoe down and they yank it back up again. I thought, how are we going to get this arm back in? And here it was in. And then the race referee came up, and she came up with the phone, and she says, I need to DNF you, DNF, 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 look at me, DNF. Did not finish. I'm like, no, can we not just, no, DNF, DNF. I'm like, oh my goodness. I've come so far. I didn't think I was going to finish this race. All these obstacles in front of me, and now there's another one. Now I'm not allowed to continue. So if ever I get where you are right now, I get where you are right now. And then I sat there for a while, and eventually I said to the doctor, listen, I think I can move it. And I'm pretty sure I can continue with this race. And he said to me, are you mad? You've got a dislocated shoulder. I said, no, it's not dislocated anymore. I think it's okay. He was like, no. And then the nurse came over and she said, no, we need stitches and we need debridement. So I said, okay, I've got a plan. This is my plan. Just give me meds. I need some painkillers. I'll be fine. And the doctor said to me, no. If you stop here right now, there's a whole combi behind you with meds. Help yourself. If you want to continue, we're giving you nothing. That's not even a negotiation. Don't you want to negotiate here? And it was a good decision, but it was hard for me to hear at that time. It's like, oh my goodness. So then I got the race referee over and I argued, and I said, listen, I want to get back into the race. And we had to argue because did you finish the swim? Did you walk off the beach? And I said, I walked, everything's fine. Eventually she said, okay, you can continue. So off I went, carrying my wetsuit over my arm, and I passed Deborah, and she was frantic because she was trying to track me and I was taking so long, and what the hell? And now I'm carrying my wetsuit. That's not what this normally looks like. And I said, no, I just dislocated my shoulder, but I'm fine. And off I went into transition. I got out of the wetsuit and got all the cycling stuff on. And then I ran down the 1.2 kilometer transition. It's the longest transition in the history of Ironman transitions, to go and find my bike. And I get to where my bike should have been, and there's no bike. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And then I look down at my number, and I look at the rack and the number in the rack, and it's the same number. And I'm thinking, but where's my bike? So then I thought, oh man. Now I ran all the way to the end of the transition to find a race referee who knows what's happening. And I say to this lady, my bike's gone. And she says, well, maybe one of your friends took it. I'm like, no, nobody's going to take a bike. The bike's, for us, my shoes were on the bike and it's set up for me and my bottles were there and it's the same thing. Nobody's going to take somebody else's bike. And then the spectator next to her said, well, they're clearly not your friends anymore, are they? Like, well, that's not helping. So she said, no, you need to run all the way back to the other end of transition and go and ask them there. So now there's blood coming out and I'm limping and I'm running all the way down with these other athletes coming past. And when these people see me and they recognize me, they're like, what's wrong, Richard? I'm like, I lost my bike. And eventually I get to a race referee and she looks at her screen and she says, no, but you were DNF'd when you were on the beach. And because you were DNF'd, we took your bike and we got it out of the way for the rest of the athletes. I'm like, where's my bike? So she pointed to my bike and I said, can I take it? She says, but you DNF'd. I said, I've argued to get back in. I had to argue to get a new race chip. Please. And so eventually she let me go. I managed to finish the cycle. I couldn't sit down on my bars because the pain was too bad. And then I got off and I started the run, a 21 kilometer run. And I ran until the pain became unbearable. And then I hooked my thumb over my race belt and just walked until I could face the pain and I could handle this. And then I ran again, and then I walked, and then I ran, and I finished. And for me, this is what I looked like. That's the picture when I was DNF'd, that shoulder. And I finished, and the only thing that mattered for me was that medal. It was the only thing that mattered. And when I went to the medical tent afterwards, the same doctor who was on the beach came up to me, and he looked at the medal around my neck, and he said, surely that's not yours, right? I'm like, for sure it's mine. He said, I didn't even think you'd get onto the bicycle and finish. He said, you must really be a little bit nuts. I'm not nuts. How badly do you want it? And what are you prepared to go through to get it? I know it's hard right now. I know that you're looking at the future and you're thinking, wow, I'm overwhelmed. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get through this. How badly do you want it? How badly do you need it? And what are you prepared to go through in order to get it? About a month afterwards, came back to Johannesburg, driving my combi, and Bailey, who was next to me, she was changing the gears every time. It was quite a thing. Don't try that with your kids. And the pain wouldn't go. And eventually I saw a surgeon, and he said, I'm 99% sure that you're okay, but let's just take an x-ray just in case. And you'll see at the top corner there, the top of the humerus is gone. Literally, he looked at me and said, it looks like a ping pong ball where somebody's taken a thumb and they've pushed it in. How on earth did you get yourself through this race? It's a broken shoulder. It's not a dislocated shoulder. It's a broken shoulder. So if you think I'm special, I'm not. Every single one of us have that ability within us. Every single one of us have that resilience, that tenacity, that grit to get through things when things are tough. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't mean enough to you, you won't. So I love this quote, Mark Twain: I've suffered some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. I've suffered some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. Let me take you back to the beginning of that race. What were the obstacles in front of me? What were the things? What were my fears about? I had fears of what? I had fears of brain cancer. I had fears of brain hemorrhage. I had fears of not training. I had fears of lung issues. Do you think for a second in that race, I thought of any of those obstacles? I didn't. Because once we are focused on something, once we want it badly enough, doesn't matter about the pain, the suffering, the discomfort, doesn't matter. All those obstacles disappear, because an obstacle is the thing that you see when you take your eyes off the goal. An obstacle is the thing that you see when you take your eyes off the goal. What are your goals right now? Where do you see yourself in 6 months' time? Where do you see yourself in 6 months' time? And what is standing in the way? Nothing, besides what you think. So I asked Anna to put this together for me. I really dig it. I'm possible. The slogan for Ironman is, I'm possible, anything is possible. So if you read that, jumping into fear and discovering a life of purpose. Our lives have been tossed upside down. There I am, upside down. But can I tell you something? In the midst of all this chaos, in the midst of the upside down, jumping in anyway and discovering a life of purpose. What is that purpose for you? So it's hard to make it mean something if it doesn't mean something to you. What does your real estate journey mean to you? That's serving that Liesl spoke about. It's how can I serve you? How can I help? We've heard that week after week after week with me. And that's where you have relevance right now. Your sellers, your buyers, your landlords, your tenants, they need you. The industry needs you. They need you to come up with solutions. What's that going to look like? Is it going to mean that you're going to have disinfecting stations at houses before you bring people in? The days of the show house are over, but maybe it's an open day where the people go where they want to go, or whatever happens, and you make sure that you have people in appointments so that they don't overlap, and you can control that. So people are full of fear right now as well. I'm dealing with companies where they're saying that the workforce that's allowed to go back to work doesn't want to go back to work. And they're saying, why do I have to be one of the third of the people who are allowed back at work? Because I was doing my job at home and I feel safer at home. I don't want to go back to work. Sellers are saying, well, this is our place of comfort. This is our place of safety. It's our home. This is where we've been holed up for the last couple of months. And now we've got to let people into our house. And you are standing in between that, their fears, and the reality of they need to move. And they want to move. And they want to sell their property. And what are the solutions to that? And I know that if you want it badly enough, you'll find the solutions, just like I did. Understand that what you're doing, your work matters. It matters a lot. And as much as you might feel like you're a victim of the circumstances and victim of all of this, understand that your work matters. It's the difference between people being able to fulfill their dreams, people being able to get out of debt, people being able to move to where they want to go and continue their lives. Their lives have been on hold for the last couple of months. And only after you've been able to fulfill your job can they move forward to where they want to go. And that matters. What you do really matters. And know that. And when you know why it matters, you can figure out how to be relevant going forward. And you can figure out how your conduct is congruent with this thing that you do that matters. So the last thing I want to chat about just very quickly is, am I fearlessly challenging my fixed beliefs and assumptions? What are your fixed beliefs and assumptions about your career going forward, about what real estate is going forward? And this is a big one for me. So I think, and I'm seeing it, the same thing over and over again, is that real estate agents conform to what the others are doing. Right now, what I'm seeing is that every single estate agent is making videos of the homes out there. Every single estate agent is trying to help the sellers to move their properties by making it virtually possible for the buyers and for the tenants to be able to view the properties. And it all looks the same. And unfortunately, what that means, and this is purely my opinion, but what this means is that you're relinquishing your power, your superpower of the human contact, because that's what real estate is. It's your ability, your human contact, to be able to get other people to do what you want them to do, but essentially to help them to discover, because a lot of times buyers don't know what they want. So your job is to help them to discover that. But you can't do that if you're giving them all the content. So that's that age-old thing that says, you know, remember when we were real estate agents back in the Rinderpest days, and we said you only want to advertise a little bit. Like this week, say that it's got a lovely patio and a pool area and it's entertainer's dream. And the seller says, well, what about the jacuzzi? And what about the fact that it's got 5 bedrooms and it's got 4 garages? No, no. We're going to hold that back because we're going to wait for them to phone, because then they're going to have to ask, what it's got, and then we can talk about it. And I love that concept. And then we went into, no, but millennials want everything. They're not going to want to contact us unless we give them everything. And then they're like, oh, no. Trust me. People are online because it's not the agent that matters, it's the property that matters. Buyers are only interested in the property. They couldn't care which agent they buy it from. Be honest. They really couldn't care. They couldn't care which agent they get a property through from a let point of view. How on earth do you manage to control buyer behavior and tenant behavior if you're giving them all the information? So for me, I've never been, and I know this is a big thing for me to say right now, and let me just put this in while I gather my thoughts, because I'm going to say something big. The thinking that has brought you here to this point is not what's going to take you forward. And the reason for that is because the market's not the same. So I don't like to talk about a good or bad market, because there's no such thing as a good or bad market. There's just the market. Do I think there's going to be a pent-up demand for property? For sure I do. And the longer this extends, the longer people can't do property transactions, the more the pent-up energy for this thing. I'm going to tell you that's a fact. So what does that mean? It's going to be a different market. Do we know the prices? No, we don't, because we're not there yet. Can we do what we did yesterday? No, we can't. Everything's changed. So you can't do what you did, so you can't think like you did either. So the thinking that's brought you this far is going to be a different thinking going forward. The candle, radical departure from electric light. So the reason I've never really been a massive fan of things like Matterport is, number one, from a homeowner point of view, there's a lot of discomfort around security. There's a lot of discomfort around somebody can see my home, they can see where my security is, they're looking at everything, and that makes me feel uncomfortable. But that's not even the biggest reason for me. So for me, as a real estate agent, my superpower is my ability with people. It's my emotional intelligence. It's helping people to understand what they want. So when I'm in a house with somebody and they say, well, I really dig the house, but it's not for me, I'm going to say, well, what is it about the house you don't like? Well, it's got 2 bedrooms. We were hoping for 3. And why did you bring me to this house in the first place? Okay, well, if it wasn't for that 3rd bedroom, is there anything else about this property that you don't like? Let's think about it carefully. Just take another look. Is there anything else about this property that you don't like? Now the person is looking at the property without thinking about the bedroom that isn't there, because you've now said, okay, let's park that. Let's look. You're enabling them to look at the property from a different perspective. Then they come back and say, no, actually, there's nothing else I don't like. I really, really like this property. It fits all these other criteria. And then you need to hold back and not be the estate agent and say, well, let me solve it for you. I've got the answer. Pick me. Don't be that guy. That guy says, well, if we get a builder in, I've taken the liberty of really getting a couple of quotes, and to add a 3rd bedroom on over there, which is where I would do it, is over there, and it's going to cost you roughly 128,000 Rand. And no, don't be that person. Be the person who says, well, you think there's a way we can solve that? Make the person come up with solutions themselves. But the problem now is you can't do that because everybody's taking a virtual tour of the property and you're not there. So how do you solve that? How can you still give somebody a virtual tour with you being the tour guide, so they have to come to you for the tour? The photographs are amazing, but I need a tour. Well, book a tour with me. Book an appointment with me. And maybe there's a different way for us to be doing this thing. I might be completely wrong, and that's okay. All I'm saying is, how do you differentiate yourself where you're doing work that matters, where you're helping people to move their homes, where you're doing the best possible thing for them, which I don't know is necessarily slapping the videos out there and hoping that the buyers are going to make their decisions themselves. What is that? I think the new arena that we're moving into is, and I think this is the best thing that could ever happen to real estate, is that we don't have to deal with buyers who are not qualified anymore, pre-qualified. That a pre-qualified buyer should be an essential item. You don't come into my property if you don't have a pre-qualification. And right now we've got every single leg to stand on to make sure that that doesn't happen. How amazing is that for you? So there's so many things that are brilliant. And I don't think that the playing field is leveled. I'm hearing a lot of agents say, well, I think the playing field is leveled right now. This whole thing is like level and it's all the same. No, it's only level if you choose to play the same game. If you choose not to play the same game, but now you've got a fear of loss. What if I don't do it the same way all the other agents are going to do it? Maybe I don't get it. Maybe I lose my mandates because my seller's looking at this and saying, well, why aren't you doing that? What's my answer? That's your stuff. That's your stuff. And if you don't believe in your value, we're going right back to the beginning, then we need to work at that. The thinking that brought you here cannot be the thinking that moves you forward. Your conduct right now is going to determine what happens in the future. And if you're able to differentiate yourself from the other agents out there, from your competition out there, Wow, pick me. That's just a thought. So look at this. Coffee. What does coffee mean? How about the person upon whom one coughs? Coffee. Coffee. We look at coffee, we're like, coffee could be anything. How about this one? Pokemon. A Rastafarian proctologist. Pokemon. Pokemon. Hey, look at that. It could be anything. What made us decide that certain things mean certain things and certain words are for certain things? Somebody else is thinking. Every single thing that we think is somebody else's thinking that we've just adopted. And at what point do we say, this thinking doesn't serve me, I get to decide what coffee is for myself or what coffee is not, how the real estate market works and how it doesn't work. That's a radical departure. And that's what you are, as a creative person. That's why you do what you do. You're a creative thinker, which is why you're so good at negotiation. You're creative with people and joining people with houses and being able to position them in people's minds, being able to help them to see things that they can't see. That's your job. And what an opportunity for you right now to stand apart. So what is your new value? And I want you to look at that. In fact, I'd like you to write this down. What is my question? What is my new value? And what could that be? And I can give you a lot of things that I think it is, but it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what you think. And you need to figure out what your new value is. And you need to realize that that new value is massive. And you are needed. And you have a cloak because you're a superhero right now. There are industries that depend on you, but you need to shape up. What is your conduct right now? Don't feel beaten by this thing. That's easy. That's just sitting down in the corner and feeling beaten. Give yourself that moment and then figure out how to move forward, because you can't remain beaten every single day and hope that you're going to capture the real estate market. So you're free to choose your thoughts. Choose wisely. That's from me to you. You're free to choose your thoughts. Choose wisely. 3 choices. Let's go back to the non-breathing experiment. 3 choices. You're going to survive this thing. You can choose to be in it, to win it, and do everything. You can be like me and that half-iron man where it doesn't matter. This thing means so much to me, because if I can cross the finish line, I can beat brain cancer. If I can cross the finish line, I can show my 2 little girls that their dad's going to be okay. They need that. I need this. It's that important to me. I'm in it to win it. I'm not going to start it, and then if it gets too hard, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to decide, this is too hard. This is too much. 3 choices. Choose wisely, because the outcome is going to be determined by what you think right now. I really hope that I've been able to add some value. If you aren't already, connect with me. Please find me, connect with me, add some value to my life. I'd like to continue adding some more value to yours. I'll see you again next Wednesday, but can I ask you if there's something that you'd like me to deal with, content you want me to talk about, please drop me a line. I'm so open to your suggestions and where you want to go. So I've content for days. I just need you to know what you'd like me to talk about. So thank you very, very much. And we've got some time for some questions. If there are any, you can pop them in the Q&A box or in the chat box. Oh, quick question. What if you have a low EQ? Wow. So if you had a low EQ, you wouldn't be asking that question. That's true. It really is true. People who've got a low EQ don't know they have a low EQ. But if you've got a low EQ, you can work on that. And the way to work on that is to put other people first and to put people into put yourself into the other shoes. I said this at a previous session that I did this morning, which is the whole of Chaz Everett. It was an amazing session. And what I said is, if you're going to take a stress test, and this is probably one of the best ways I can help you with EQ right now. If you take a stress test, and your doctor will tell you that the highest level, the highest number you can return for any given one stress is 300. Any stressor can return a maximum score of 300. That's like off the charts high maximum, can't score above that. Moving home, just selling and moving home, or moving home, renting, moving home, is an automatic 300. It's not even 128 and a half, 300. Automatic stress, 300. Being where you are right now in lockdown, the trauma that you're experiencing right now, automatic 300. Being in debt, financial pressure, you can pretty much take that one up to a 300. Being in a house with lockdown and you're battling with your partner, divorce, 300, automatic. So let's take that one out. Let's just look at somebody who has to sell right now. They're worried financially, 300. In lockdown, 300. Moving house, 300. So when they're giving you a hard time and saying, what is wrong with you? What kind of agent are you? And I picked you because I thought you were this good and that good. And the market isn't, let's get somebody else. Realize it's not about you. It's not about you. Emotional intelligence says, take a step back and try and help. I need to try and understand where this person is and why they're feeling the way they are. And this stuff that's coming out, this vitriol that's coming out, is not about me. It's their stuff. And then emotional intelligence is saying, well, okay, my job right now is to listen. It feels like this guy's shouting at me, but actually, I'm emotionally mature to know it's not about me, and to wait for the person to finish and say, I understand how you feel. How can I help? Would you like to chat some more about that? That's emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is understanding that all of us are stressed and all of us are worried about what's going on. Emotional intelligence is going to help you to understand that either you are part of a solution or you become the problem. And those of you who've been in real estate for a while understand that that's true. And somebody moves into a home and you don't call them to say, how are things going? Are there any issues? Because you never want to ask that question. Those issues are going to happen whether you're there or whether you aren't. And if you aren't there, and if they can't get hold of you, you become the problem. But if you're there, as much as you sometimes can't solve them, you're at least part of the solution. And that's emotional intelligence. So the only advice I can give you is to start putting yourself into somebody else's shoes and figuring out how they feel, to take your emotions out of it, to make it about the other person. That's emotional intelligence. And that's probably the best way that I can answer that one. What was the last point? Am I fearlessly challenging my beliefs and assumptions? Was that one? One of the words on your arm was authentic. One of the advantages and disadvantages of working under lockdown is invasion of usual business protocol. Having to be more authentic. Do you think this could benefit business? Should people fear being authentic? Love, love, love that question. So if ever there was a time when you should be authentic, it should be now. I'm authentic. I wear my heart on my sleeve. The times in my life, it's got me into trouble. But more times than not, it's actually been the best thing possible. In my life, I learned being told you had 6 months to live, Richard, was the best gift of authenticity. If ever people needed you to be authentic, it would be now. Being able to say to people, I don't know. Oh, Richard, what do you think about the price? What do you think about this? I don't know. Well, that's authentic. And maybe that's a bit too vulnerable. Maybe that's a disadvantage. No, it's not. It's actually a strength. That's why people want you. They want a person to stand them in the way of this transaction. They can do it without you. Newsflash. They can do it without you. They can list their property and they can do everything without you, especially now. But yet they need you. Why? Because this is too big for them and they need somebody that they can trust. And trust is authenticity. The minute I can smell an unauthentic estate agent a mile away, I can see them coming. And that's not you. This is an opportunity for you to be the most authentic possible, which is why I want you to FaceTime your sellers, FaceTime your buyers. Let them see your face. Let them see your eyes. Let them see that you don't know. Let them see that some of the stuff scares you. There's nothing wrong with that because you're in this together and they're looking for a human being. So no, if ever there was a time to be authentic, it would be now. Thank you. Good question. And one more. Tim Baker. We've got the same problem, bud. I have a problem with overthinking. Is this a bad thing? Do you want the short answer or the long answer? So the short answer is, it's a bad thing. It's very bad. It's what I do all the time. One of the words is I am intense. I'm really intense. And I am obsessive. Ugh. Those are the things I am. I'm also fallible. And that's okay. It means that I can be intense sometimes. But I wrote a blog once called I'm Intense. It's the best quality and the worst quality. But overthinking is bad. I encourage you to try and not overthink. Bring your thoughts down to this is what are the things I can control right now? I just need to live in this moment. What are the things I can control in my world in this moment in time and do those things, like action. So I've been saying that a lot at this moment in time. Your conduct, your actions determine the outcome, not your thinking. So we don't respect leaders who think, we respect leaders who do. And it doesn't matter how brilliant you are at thinking until you can do, well, the proof is in the pudding. So I would encourage you to do less thinking and more doing. That's like me with my brand, is only after a month of pivoting and being agile and being adaptable that we actually even get some collateral together. I'm not going to wait for this. I'm not going to wait for it to be perfect. I'm not going to overthink my product. I'm not going to overthink this time right now. I'm just going to do. I'm going to get out there and do. Pick up the phone. How can I help you? So yes, overthinking is bad. Stop it. Cool. I think we're done. I think we've run out of time. Court, are you around? I hope that was beneficial for you guys.
Yeah. There we go. Let me just change this quickly. There we go. Thank you, Richard. I think that was a fantastic session. We had this discussion the other night, impact. What is the impact going to be? It's not the impact, it's the conduct. So this was so apt. I think everybody from the comments there learned a lot. The overreacting part or the overthinking part as well. I think a lot of people want to think, I think now is the time to act and not overthink things. So once again, really, that was so apt for our industry. I think a lot of property professionals will take a lot from this. Just a quick announcement, 6 p.m. tonight, guys, 6 p.m. tonight, the Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma and Dr. Ibrahim Patel will announce the final regulations at 6 o'clock. Then we should all have some clarity on that, most probably going for the next 2 weeks going forward. Tomorrow is Legal Thursday with myself and Liesel. We will be going through offers to purchase with you guys on that. So look out for that at 2 p.m. tomorrow. And yes, just tag yourselves, tag Richard, promote him. He's been wonderful. He's been a great help to us. So Richard, once again from our side, thank you very much. To all you guys out there, go out, take on the world, conquer the world, and all the best. Richard, I don't know if you want to have a last word there quickly.
Yeah, last word was just, control your thoughts, control your thoughts, control your thoughts. And thank you again for everything that you guys are doing. And you're a superhero, and you're going to emerge from this stronger and evolve, and I know it. You've survived everything that's ever been thrown at you up until this point in your life. Now is no different. Just control those thoughts and make sure you do the actions. So thank you again for the privilege, and well done again to Van Deventer's Greyvensteins. You guys are totally amazeballs. Well done. I'll see you next time.
Let me get a photo there, Richard. Cheers, guys. Have a good day. See you tomorrow at 2 o'clock, same time, same place. Keep well.